What's going on, everyone? If you're like most people, you don't have a lot of time to practice. And today I'm going to show you how to maximize your time when you're practicing. I'm here in a remote location, kind of as remote as I can get within a few minutes. And while I'm practicing today, I'm going to show you a few things I've learned throughout the years to maximize your time. If it's your first time, or if you are a regular watcher of my channel, I appreciate you both and welcome, and I hope you enjoy this video. I've got my wing lady here next to me. She is focused on a mongoose. I think let's get going. Okay, so I'm finally here. One of my favorite locations. This is quite close to home, and sometimes it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, so I quite like that. And I've got two targets up. I've got one 3D up this side. It's the pick I always shoot on when I do the reviews. And then I've got a 2D target, just a normal field target down this way. So in a little bit, we're going to practice a little bit, and I'm going to show you some of the methods I use. But the first step you have to do when you want to save time, you have to make sure that your equipment is dialed. Because if that is working well, it's a lot more fun to practice than trying to practice with something that is not really suited for you. So, it's the basic stuff like proper peep height, just proper bow fit, and the right let off, the right poundage, just a well-tuned bow, something that fits you well. So that's the first step. I have a video on this on optimization, where you can optimize your bow. I'll put the link up right now. You can watch that later if you want. Make a note of that. First finish this video. There I explain more about optimizing your bow in terms of torque tuning, getting it to be forgiving, because that's very important. If you want to enjoy practice, if you hit it, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. If you don't shoot so well, then it's not going to be a lot of fun. And that's the first step you have to remember when you are having limited time and you want to maximize your practice. And number two, I believe you should be in control of the shot when you shoot to maximize your time when you practice. And in my opinion, I think this involves a surprise release. And this also ensures that you are making the margin of running into problems later in life with shooting a lot less than when you are shooting a command type style shot. So I'm not saying necessarily that a surprise release is more accurate. There can be some frustration in it, because sometimes you will shoot when you're not completely on target, where if you were a command archer, you would have maybe had it on target and release it at the right time. And that's all command shooting is. It's just releasing it at the right time. But our mind does not allow us to shoot a command shot for a very long time. If you can do it now, it's not a guarantee that you might not run into problems in the future. But the fact of the matter is, for most people, a surprise release is the way to go. I have another video on this as well. I'll put the link up now as well. You can check that out as well if you are more interested in shooting a surprise release, or if you want to understand it better. But basically, just to explain it to those who don't know, is that you are just watching the target and letting that pin float on target, and then you are moving your release slowly, being in control of it until the shot breaks. That is basically a surprise release. That's why I'm a huge fan of a hinge release, and a hinge basically makes it a lot easier to shoot a surprise release, and it forces you to shoot a surprise release. I hunt with one, but it's not for everyone. But I always encourage people, even if you are a avid hunter and you're never going to do tournament, at least get one to practice with. And then when you go to the hunting field and you're not comfortable with it, you can always take your other release. A hinge will always improve your game. Even if you shoot another release, it always brings you back to center. It's a very good tool, even if it's just for practice. Number 3 is practice at longer ranges. This will boost your shooting quite a lot, and it will make your learning curve a lot steeper when you practice at longer ranges. Practice is all about correction. So when you make an error, your mind gets feedback and you correct yourself. It's just you're getting feedback from your mind, and it tells you if you do that, you get that result. If you do that, you get that result. Till eventually you know the feeling, how it feels when you shoot a good shot and it's supposed to be in the middle. Now, also, it will tell you when you made an error and how to fix it. And then it will gravitate back to that good feeling you had, or that great feeling when you release and you know that arrow's in the X, or that's a kill shot, and then you see the arrow go towards the X, hit the X, or goes through the animal exactly at the spot where you aimed. That is called feedback, and that's why we get better at practice when we practice, not only because we build our muscles and we get stronger, therefore putting it towards getting better. So what is long range practicing? Well, for me, I like to practice at about 100 yards to 120. I don't necessarily hunt on that distance, but for me, it's a lot of fun to practice on that range because, you know, as any small area you make is like amplified. Okay, so this is what happens if you spend too much time in the mountains. Lexi convinced me to shoot a 100-yard shot up to the 3D target with a balloon on there. It's getting dark, and yeah, when your dog convinces you to do stuff like this, you know it's time to go home. So, but I'm going to do it anyway. "102 yards. That's it. I'm going home. Number 4 is I like to mark my arrows, a method I like to use, and then I will shoot without binoculars, and I won't get any feedback from where I shot looking through the binoculars to spot my arrows. I will draw a little picture of a target and I will mark where I thought that arrow landed. So in other words, I will shoot number 1, then I'll make a mark where I think number 1 would be. I would make like a little line and I would write number 1 on the side, and then I will shoot number 2 and I will do the same until I get a pattern. And then I will take that note, I will walk towards the target, and I will see how accurate I am, and if I am close to my feedback system, if that is in tune. And if it's not, if I see that my arrows are all feeling like it's going inside, you know, the scoring area, but it's way off, I know there's a problem with my bow or something, or I need to practice more. But it's at least it's a system where I can say, I can call shots, you know, I can feel that was a good shot, that should be an X. When I get to the target and I see number 1 it felt excellent, I wrote it down and I see it's in the X, it's like a confirmation that my system is working and my bow is in tune and I am in tune with my bow. Okay, so I've marked my arrows, 45 yards. I've set up a camera there so you can follow real time where it's going, so that you're getting feedback, but I'm not. I can't see where I'm hitting. Okay, so I've marked my arrows. It's 45 yards, 20 degrees down, and I'm going to shoot and try to get feedback just by the feel of the shot. And I'm not going to try and spot the target or the arrow, and I will give you feedback from how it felt for me. And then you can also follow real time because I put a camera up there so that you can see where I'm shooting, if I'm getting it right or completely wrong. That's left. Okay, so that was left. I felt it went off left, and it is what it is. It felt good. Number 3, slightly high. I'll say just above number 2, maybe a little bit to the right. So number 1 left, number 2 on the money, number 3 slightly high. Number 4 to the right. Slightly low. It fell alright, but I'll say it's just outside the X at 6 o'clock. Let's go check. So this is number 1. I was right. I thought it's more left, but I see my bows grouping slightly to the right. So I feel like number 1 I got correctly. This is number 2. So I'll say my bow shooting slightly high. I will say that was a good shot. This is also shooting to the right. And then number 3 was just above it. This is this one. And then number 4 I judged to the right, which is right. And then number 5 I judged low. It's low from the grouping, so in fact that is also correct. So I'm quite happy with the result I got, because the feedback I'm getting is exactly what's happening on the target. So that's the whole point of it. Number 5, set up realistic hunting shots like I did here. I've got the target up, a 3D target quite far up, where I would put it down and I would move around and I would shoot one arrow and then go score it. And then I would put all my effort into that one shot instead of shooting a grouping at just mindlessly shooting it at a target. I would really walk towards a spot, say 45 yards, is slightly inclined. There's maybe a little brush on the side, or I need to shoot over something to hit the target, and I will put all my emphasis on hitting that. And if I don't perform too well, I'll go pull my arrow and I will go back and I will do it again. But don't just shoot groupings always, just put the emphasis on one arrow when you do the hunting scenario kind of style practice. All right, so moving on this hill is quite a lot of work, so a little bit out of breath. Changing it to one shot obviously changes the mood for me. It changes my focus because I only have one shot. So I imagine that is a real animal, 42 yards up, 21 degrees. And I imagine it now, and I'm really going to do my best to make a good shot. I really want to make a good shot. So let's see. All right. Here goes. It's bottom 12, eh? Well, that's kind of where I released. I'm happy with that shot. I wanted to go in subconsciously. I think I wanted to go in a bit lower because I'm shooting from the bottom. And I'm happy about that. That's more or less, to be honest, that's very close to where I am. And hunting shot, it's perfect. So right from the 12, so my height is good for this elevation. So so it's realistic, and it is as hard as well. It's quite a hard shot. I must say I haven't practiced this in a long time, so it's also an eye-opener for me. But all good. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope that you've learned something today, and we appreciate all the feedback we get. We appreciate all the subscriptions. If you like what you see, subscribe, ring the notification bell so that you won't miss out on future content. We're going to bring more and more videos to you. We've got some exciting stuff on the way that we can't share just yet, but it's almost going to be there. It should be available somewhere in October, so keep tuned for that. Don't miss out on that. And what can I say? We appreciate you guys. It's been fun, and we'll see you soon.